Mantelpiece, The Value of Time, best motivational English story about using time wisely and the secret to success. Time slipped from his fingers like water, and he didn't even notice until everything he loved began fading away. Deadlines missed, opportunities lost, moments with family forgotten, dreams buried under distractions. It wasn't an accident. It was a slow, quiet destruction happening every day. And one morning, standing in the middle of a life he no longer recognized, he finally realized that time had been his greatest gift and his greatest mistake. Backhand, index pointing right before we continue. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, make sure to like the video, comment your thoughts, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel Honestia. Armin wasn't irresponsible. He was simply convinced life would always give him another day. He told himself the same comforting promise every night. Oh, tomorrow I'll start. Tomorrow I'll change. Tomorrow I'll work harder. But tomorrow became weeks, then months, and eventually years. He drifted through life in fragments, constantly scrolling, constantly procrastinating, constantly avoiding the uncomfortable work that could have built his future. He had once dreamed of becoming an architect, designing buildings that touched the sky, places that carried meaning and memory. When he was younger, teachers admired his sketches, neighbors praised his creativity, and his parents proudly believed their son would one day build something extraordinary. But as time moved forward, real life began whispering distractions to him. Friends who laughed at effort, routines that demanded nothing, endless entertainment that kept him busy without moving him an inch closer to his dreams. Slowly, the fire inside him weakened, replaced by a dull habit of saying one day he found a small job at a printing shop, not because it fulfilled him, but because it allowed him to stay comfortable. Every day looked the same. Wake late looked the same. Wake late, rush, work just enough to not get fired. Spend evenings online watching the lives of others while his own went untouched. He didn't feel miserable, but he didn't feel alive either. The scariest part was his quiet acceptance. Life wasn't breaking him loudly. It was softening him into someone who no longer tried. Then life began taking small things from him. His mother's health declined, yet he always told himself he'd visit her next weekend until those weekends stretched into months. His father, tired from years of work, started asking him about his future. Every conversation turned heavy, and instead of facing it, Armin escaped into more distractions. Birthdays came and went. Invitations were ignored. Dreams written in old notebooks gathered dust beneath his bed. The real turning point didn't happen in a dramatic disaster. It came quietly, like truth often does. One night, exhausted from scrolling aimlessly, he stumbled across those old sketchbooks. Each page held worlds he had once imagined. Bridges, towers, parks, homes filled with light. There were notes in the margins, plans, measurements, a younger version of himself whispering from the past, reminding him who he had once wanted to become. A sudden heaviness filled his chest. He realized these designs were not failures. They were promises he had never honored. The following days brought memories he could no longer hide from. He remembered his mother sitting by the window waiting for him, smiling whenever she heard footsteps. He remembered his father staying awake at night, calculating bills while encouraging him to study. He remembered teachers who saw his potential. And standing in that quiet realization, he saw the simple truth: no one had failed him. Time hadn't betrayed him. He had been the one pushing everything meaningful to a later, but guilt alone couldn't save him. The real challenge started when he decided to change. Change didn't come in a burst of motivation. It arrived slowly, like dawn rising after a long night. The first morning he woke early felt strange. The world was silent. His instincts begged him to go back to sleep. Instead, he sat at the small kitchen table, opened a notebook, and began sketching again. His lines were shaky. His ideas felt rusty. He struggled to remember techniques, formulas, perspectives. Every mistake screamed at him, reminding him how much time he had wasted. He wanted to quit more than once, but something inside him refused to leave the table. Days turned into weeks filled with quiet repetition. Wake early. Work. Learn. Fail. Try again. He enrolled in online lessons, returning home after work with tired eyes, yet refusing to waste another evening. He stopped chasing every distraction that called his name. He replaced empty hours with purposeful ones. Not glamorous, not exciting, but deeply honest. Slowly, his designs improved. Shapes became clearer, concepts gained structure. His mind sharpened with patience and discipline. Meanwhile, reality continued to test him. The printing shop cut hours, reducing his income. Bills piled up. He faced moments of doubt so deep they nearly swallowed him. What if it was too late? What if his chance had already passed? What if all this effort still led nowhere? But now, instead of running from these questions, he sat with them. He realized success wasn't the absence of fear. It was choosing to move despite it. He began visiting his parents more often, not with grand speeches, but with presence. He listened to his father's stories. He cooked for his mother. He apologized without excuses. Those moments taught him another truth. Time isn't only about productivity. It is love, attention, presence, memory. Each visit became a quiet promise that he would never let time steal what truly mattered again. Months passed. His portfolio slowly came back to life. He submitted designs to small competitions, most of which rejected him. Each rejection felt like a storm, but inside every storm he discovered lessons. He adjusted, improved, persisted. He learned that the world doesn't reward potential. It rewards consistent effort. Then, one afternoon, an email arrived from a community housing project looking for fresh ideas. They wanted affordable, beautiful homes designed with minimal space but maximum dignity. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't a skyscraper, but it was real. He submitted his work. Weeks crawled by with silence. He continued studying, continued caring, continued refusing to waste time. The day the acceptance letter came, everything felt quiet before it felt joyful. His design had been chosen not because it was the biggest or the most impressive, but because it understood people. Families needing sunlight, elderly parents needing safety, children needing small corners to dream. The project team saw sincerity in his work, something that only grew through struggle and patience. Watching construction begin, feeling the soil beneath his shoes, hearing workers measure and build, he finally understood. Time had never been his enemy. Time had been waiting for him to respect it. The real secret to success wasn't luck or genius. It was simply honoring every hour by giving it purpose, attention, and heart. The project finished months later. Families moved into homes shaped from the lines once trapped in his old notebooks. Children played in courtyards he had designed. Elderly couples rested on benches he had imagined. Standing there, he didn't feel like someone who had achieved everything. He felt like someone who had finally started living. And in that moment, he made a silent vow. Never again would he say tomorrow to the things that mattered today. Time is not promised. It is loaned. And every second asks one question. What will you do with me? Backhand index pointing right before the ending. Please write a comment below and share one thing you want to stop delaying in your life. Maybe today is the day you begin. As the sun dipped behind the finished buildings and the sky turned gold, Armin thought about the nights he wasted, the moments he missed, the tears he caused, and the ones he shed while changing. He realized that every regret had carried a lesson, and every delay had shown him how precious each moment truly is. He knew others out there were still drifting, still scrolling, still promising themselves tomorrow, and he wished deeply that his story could reach them. Backhand index pointing right. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Honestia. Your support helps more people realize the value of time, the power of effort, and the beauty of second chances. Because sometimes the greatest success is not measured in wealth or status, but in how wisely and lovingly we choose to spend the time we are given.